You think you know Southeast Asia? You've seen the Instagram photos of Thailand's beaches, heard about Singapore's wealth, maybe even considered Vietnam's street food. But there's one country sitting right in the middle of it all that most people completely overlook, and honestly, that's probably for the best. Because once word gets out about Malaysia, your secret budget paradise is going to be ruined forever. Picture this. You're sipping coconut water on a pristine beach that looks like it belongs in the Maldives. Except you paid $3 for lunch instead of $300. Behind you, there's a mosque calling people to prayer, while a Buddhist temple sits peacefully next door, and somehow nobody's fighting about it. Your Grab taxi driver just recommended the best place to get authentic Indian curry, and he happens to be Chinese Malaysian who speaks 4 languages fluently. This isn't some fantasy. This is just Tuesday in Malaysia. But here's where it gets really interesting. Malaysia is a Muslim-majority country where you can party until 3 a.m., where women run multinational corporations while wearing hijabs, and where you can eat world-class food for the price of a Starbucks coffee back home. It's a place where skyscrapers pierce the clouds while orangutans swing through ancient rainforests just 2 hours away. Most travelers rush through Malaysia to get somewhere else, treating it like a layover country. They have no idea what they're missing. The real question isn't whether Malaysia is worth visiting. It's whether you can handle living in paradise on $600 a month and still have money left over for weekend trips to Thailand. Spoiler alert, you absolutely can. And by the end of this, you're going to understand why Malaysia might just be the most underrated country in Southeast Asia. But first, you need to understand something important about this place that most guidebooks won't tell you. Malaysia doesn't fit into neat little boxes that travel bloggers love to create. It's not cheap Thailand or Muslim Singapore or budget Indonesia. It's something entirely different, something that exists in the spaces between what you expect and what actually is. The country operates on its own logic, follows its own rules, and somehow manages to make it all work in ways that shouldn't be possible, but absolutely are. Take the geography, for instance. Most people think Malaysia is just another small Southeast Asian country, but that's like saying Texas is just another American state. Malaysia stretches across 2 massive land masses separated by the South China Sea. On one side, you've got peninsular Malaysia, connected to Thailand and sitting just across a narrow strait from Singapore. On the other side, there's Malaysian Borneo, sharing the massive island with Indonesia and tiny Brunei. The distance between Kuala Lumpur and Kota Kinabalu is further than London to Rome, yet somehow it's all one country. This geographic split created something fascinating. Peninsular Malaysia became the economic powerhouse, home to gleaming cities and the majority of the population. Malaysian Borneo remained wild and largely untouched, home to some of the oldest rainforests on Earth and wildlife that exists nowhere else. You can literally fly from one of Asia's most modern cities to one of the world's most pristine wilderness areas in 2 hours. Show me another country where you can do that for $50. The location matters more than you might think. Malaysia sits at the crossroads of ancient trade routes, right in the middle of everything important in Southeast Asia. Ships carrying spices, silk, and gold had to pass through Malaysian waters. This wasn't just convenient, it was inevitable. For over 1,000 years, everyone who wanted to trade between China, India, and the Middle East had to deal with Malaysia first. That's how you build a culture that's comfortable with different languages, religions, and ways of doing business. But geography alone doesn't explain the Malaysia you'll actually experience today. The real story starts when you land at Kuala Lumpur International Airport, consistently rated one of the world's best, and take the high-speed train into the city center. Suddenly, you're surrounded by skyscrapers that wouldn't look out of place in Manhattan, except half the signs are in Arabic script and the other half are in Chinese characters. The call to prayer echoes between buildings designed by architects from a dozen different countries, while the subway system runs with Swiss precision. Your first day in Kuala Lumpur will break your brain in the best possible way. You'll walk past women in full hijabs discussing quarterly earnings reports on their phones, then turn a corner, and find yourself in Chinatown, where elderly men are playing xiangqi while their grandchildren livestream on TikTok. 20 minutes later, you're in Little India, where the air is thick with incense and curry spices, and everyone's arguing about cricket scores in Tamil while ordering South Indian dosas from vendors who've been perfecting their recipes for 3 generations. This isn't cultural tourism or some sanitized multicultural theme park. This is just daily life in Malaysia, where diversity isn't a buzzword. It's a survival strategy that's been working for centuries. The country is roughly 60% Malay, 23% Chinese, and 7% Indian, with dozens of indigenous groups making up the rest. Somehow, they've all figured out how to live together without constantly trying to kill each other, which is more than you can say for a lot of other places. The secret ingredient that makes it all work is something Malaysians call gotong royong. Basically, the idea that everyone succeeds together or everyone fails together. It's not some hippie commune philosophy, it's practical politics. When your neighbor runs a halal restaurant and you run a Chinese medicine shop and your other neighbor fixes motorcycles, you all need each other to survive. Fighting over religious differences becomes a luxury you can't afford. But don't mistake this for some perfect multicultural utopia. Malaysia has its tensions, its problems, its moments of conflict. The difference is that most Malaysians have learned to manage these tensions rather than eliminate them. It's like a family that argues constantly but still shows up for Sunday dinner. Everyone knows the rules, everyone knows their role, and somehow it works. This cultural complexity creates daily life rhythms that will fascinate you as a visitor. Malaysian mornings start early, usually around sunrise, when the weather is still cool and the air hasn't yet turned into a wet blanket. You'll see joggers in hijabs running alongside Chinese uncles doing Tai Chi in the park, while Indian aunties are already at the wet market selecting the freshest fish for lunch. By 7 a.m., the entire country is awake and moving. The workday follows a pattern shaped by both Islamic traditions and British colonial leftovers. Offices open early to avoid the worst heat, break for Friday prayers, and often extend into the evening when the temperature drops. Lunch breaks are serious business. Not quick sandwiches at your desk, but proper meals with colleagues that can stretch for an hour or more. This isn't inefficiency. It's social infrastructure. Relationships get built over shared meals, deals get made over teh tarik, and problems get solved over late-night mama stall conversations. Islamic influence shapes the rhythm of life in subtle but important ways. The call to prayer punctuates the day 5 times, providing natural breakpoints that non-Muslims often find surprisingly peaceful. During Ramadan, the entire country shifts into a different gear, with shortened work hours, special night markets, and an atmosphere of reflection that even non-Muslims can appreciate. It's not imposed on anyone, it's just how things flow. Modesty matters here, but not in the oppressive way that Western media often portrays. Malaysian women are doctors, lawyers, politicians, and CEOs. They're also mothers, artists, athletes, and entrepreneurs. Some wear hijabs, some don't. Some are devoutly religious, others are secular. What they share is a cultural understanding that respect gets shown through how you present yourself, and that applies to everyone, not just women. As a visitor, you'll need to understand these unspoken rules. Tank tops and shorts are fine at the beach, but you'll want to cover up when visiting religious sites or government buildings. Public displays of affection make people uncomfortable, regardless of your religion. Alcohol is available but not ubiquitous. You won't find it at local restaurants, but hotel bars and Chinese coffee shops serve it freely. These aren't restrictions designed to limit your fun. They're social conventions that keep everything running smoothly. The reward for understanding and respecting these conventions is access to one of the world's great food cultures. Malaysian cuisine isn't just good. It's so good that Singaporeans cross the border regularly just to eat here, despite their own world-class food scene. This happens because Malaysian food culture operates on a completely different level from most places you've been. Start with breakfast. which in Malaysia means choosing between at least 6 different culinary traditions before 9 a.m. You could have nasi lemak, coconut rice with sambal, fried anchovies, and a hard-boiled egg, which is technically the national dish but varies dramatically from state to state. Or you might prefer dim sum at a Chinese tea house where elderly Chinese uncles will judge your dumpling eating technique while arguing about local politics. Indian breakfast might mean tosai with dal curry, served on a banana leaf that doubles as your plate and gets composted when you're done. But the real magic happens at hawker stalls, which are basically open-air food courts where multiple vendors compete for customers using nothing but the quality of their food and the speed of their service. These aren't tourist attractions. They're community institutions where office workers, taxi drivers, students, and retirees all eat the same food at the same plastic tables under the same corrugated tin roofs. Every hawker stall has its regulars, people who've been coming to the same vendor for decades. The uncle making char kway teow knows exactly how spicy you like it after 3 visits. The auntie selling laksa remembers that you prefer extra prawns and will add them without being asked. This isn't just customer service, it's social architecture, the way communities get built one meal at a time. The prices will shock you, but not in the way you expect. A full meal at a hawker stall costs between $2 and $4. Not per person. Total. A plate of food that would cost $15 in Singapore costs $3 in Malaysia. Coffee shops charge 50 cents for coffee that tastes better than anything you'll get from a $5 chain back home. You can eat incredibly well for $10 a day, and that's if you're splurging. Penang takes food culture to an almost absurd level. The entire state operates as one giant hawker center, with specialties that change every few blocks. Georgetown alone has over 200 registered hawker stalls, each one claiming to serve the original version of their particular dish. Locals will argue passionately about which vendor makes the best char kway teow, and these arguments can last for hours because everyone has legitimate points to make. Durian deserves its own explanation, because encountering durian culture in Malaysia is like nothing you've experienced elsewhere. Durian isn't just a fruit here, it's a social phenomenon, an obsession, a seasonal event that brings entire families together. When durian season arrives, Malaysians will drive hundreds of kilometers to get fruit from specific trees that they've been visiting for years. They'll pay hundreds of dollars for a single fruit if it comes from a legendary tree with the right reputation. The smell, which foreigners always describe as horrific, doesn't bother Malaysians at all. They'll eat durian in enclosed spaces, on public transportation, in fancy restaurants. Hotels ban it, airlines ban it, but Malaysians find ways around these restrictions because giving up durian isn't really an option. If you want to understand Malaysian culture, you need to at least try durian with an open mind, preferably with Malaysian friends who can guide you to a good variety and explain what you're supposed to be tasting. Coffee culture operates differently here than anywhere else in Southeast Asia. Malaysian coffee shops, called kopitiams, aren't trying to be Starbucks. They're community centers that happen to serve coffee, places where 3 generations of the same family might eat breakfast together every Sunday, where business deals get negotiated over condensed milk coffee, where local gossip gets shared and neighborhood problems get solved. The coffee itself is strong, sweet, and served in glasses or cups that haven't changed design in 50 years. Teh tarik, pulled tea, gets prepared with theatrical flair, poured back and forth between containers to create the perfect foam. Watching a skilled teh tarik vendor is like watching performance art, except the end result is a drink that costs 60 cents and tastes better than anything you'll find at trendy cafes charging 10 times the price. But food culture, as amazing as it is, only scratches the surface of what makes Malaysia fascinating. The real complexity becomes apparent when you start trying to understand Malaysian women and the role they play in society. Western stereotypes about Muslim-majority countries completely fall apart here, because Malaysian women operate in a reality that doesn't fit any of the boxes that outsiders try to create. Malaysian women are everywhere in professional life. They're doctors, engineers, lawyers, politicians, business owners, and corporate executives. The country's central bank is run by a woman. Major corporations have female CEOs. Universities are roughly 60% female. This isn't some recent development or token representation. Malaysian women have been active in professional life for decades, and their participation is considered normal rather than noteworthy. At the same time, Malaysian culture places enormous importance on family, modesty, and traditional values. These aren't contradictory concepts here, they're complementary ones. A Malaysian woman might run a multinational corporation during the day and still cook dinner for her extended family on weekends. She might wear a hijab to work and also hold a PhD in engineering. She might observe religious traditions while also traveling internationally for business. Dating culture reflects these complexities in interesting ways. Traditional Malaysian families still prefer arranged introductions and formal courtship processes, especially in rural areas. But urban Malaysia has developed its own approaches to romance that blend traditional respect with modern realities. Young professionals meet through work, university, or social activities. Online dating exists but isn't as dominant as in Western countries, partly because social networks remain strong enough that most people meet potential partners through friends and family connections. Physical intimacy follows different rules here. Public displays of affection make people uncomfortable, regardless of the couple's religion or ethnicity. Hand-holding is generally acceptable, but kissing in public is not. These aren't legal restrictions in most cases. They're social conventions that everyone understands and follows. Private relationships operate with much more freedom, but what happens in private stays private. Malaysian beauty standards reflect the country's diversity in fascinating ways. Fair skin remains prized, a legacy of both Chinese and colonial influences. But Malaysian beauty ideals also celebrate the country's mixed heritage. Mixed-race Malaysians, especially those with Malay-Chinese or Malay-Indian backgrounds, are often considered particularly beautiful, and many successful actresses and models come from mixed backgrounds. The fashion industry navigates religious and cultural sensitivities with impressive creativity. Modest fashion is huge business in Malaysia, with designers creating clothes that meet Islamic guidelines while still being stylish and contemporary. You'll see women wearing hijabs paired with designer jeans, traditional baju kurung adapted for office wear, and evening gowns designed to be both elegant and modest. The variety and creativity rival anything you'll find in fashion capitals elsewhere. Social life for young Malaysians happens in spaces designed around cultural sensitivities. Instead of bars and clubs, you'll find mamak stalls, Indian Muslim restaurants that stay open late and serve as informal social centers. Shopping malls become evening hangouts where young people can socialize in air-conditioned comfort. Coffee shops and bubble tea places fill the same role that pubs serve in other countries, providing spaces for friends to gather and couples to meet without alcohol or loud music. The myth of beautiful women in paradise that attracts some male travelers to Southeast Asia exists in Malaysia too, but the reality is far more complex and interesting than the fantasy. Malaysian women are often stunningly beautiful, but they're also highly educated, professionally ambitious, and culturally sophisticated. The idea that Western men can show up and automatically be considered desirable catches is laughable to most Malaysian women, who have plenty of options and high standards. Successful relationships between Malaysian women and foreign men do happen, but they require genuine respect for local culture, real effort to understand family dynamics, and patience with courtship processes that might move more slowly than what Western men expect. Malaysian families take relationships seriously, and earning approval requires demonstrating that you understand and respect their values, not just their daughter's beauty. This cultural complexity becomes even more apparent during Malaysia's festival seasons, which happen year-round because the country celebrates holidays from multiple religious and ethnic traditions. The result is a festival calendar that would make any other country jealous, with major celebrations happening almost monthly and smaller festivals filling in the gaps. Ramadan and Hari Raya Idul Fitri represent the biggest celebrations on the Malaysian calendar. During the month of Ramadan, the entire country shifts rhythm to accommodate fasting from sunrise to sunset. Non-Muslims aren't required to fast, but many restaurants close during daylight hours out of respect, and eating in public during fasting hours is considered rude. The atmosphere becomes contemplative and community-focused, with families and friends gathering for pre-dawn meals and elaborate evening feasts. Hari Raya Idul Fitri, which marks the end of Ramadan, turns Malaysia into one giant family reunion. The tradition of balik kampung, returning to your hometown, creates the world's largest annual human migration as millions of Malaysians travel back to their ancestral villages. Cities empty out, highways become parking lots, and extended families gather for elaborate feasts and mutual forgiveness rituals. Chinese New Year brings entirely different energy, with lion dances, firecrackers, and elaborate family dinners that can last for hours. Malaysian Chinese families take reunion dinners seriously, with multiple generations gathering to share traditional foods and exchange red envelopes filled with money. The celebrations continue for 15 days, culminating in the Cap Go May Festival, where single women traditionally throw oranges into rivers while making wishes for good husbands. Deepavali, the Hindu festival of lights, transforms Malaysian Indian neighborhoods into sparkly wonderlands filled with oil lamps, colorful decorations, and incredible food. Families spend weeks preparing traditional sweets and savory snacks, and the open house tradition means that neighbors of all backgrounds are invited to share in the celebrations. The festival celebrates the victory of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance, and good over evil, themes that resonate across cultural boundaries. Thaipusam, probably Malaysia's most visually dramatic festival, sees Hindu devotees carrying elaborate kavadi, decorated structures that can weigh over 100 pounds, while their skin is pierced with hooks and skewers. The procession from Kuala Lumpur to the Batu Caves draws over 1 million participants and observers, creating one of the world's largest religious gatherings. For outsiders, it can be shocking to witness, but for participants, it's a profound expression of faith and devotion. Indigenous festivals add another layer of cultural richness, especially in East Malaysia. The Harvest Festival in Sabah and the Gawai Festival in Sarawak celebrate rice harvests with traditional music, dance, and rice wine that's been fermenting for months. These celebrations maintain connections to pre-Islamic and pre-Christian traditions while incorporating modern elements like DJ sets and karaoke competitions. Understanding festival culture helps explain something important about Malaysian social rules and taboos. What might seem like restrictions to outsiders often turn out to be ways of showing respect for different communities' important celebrations. During Chinese New Year, many halal restaurants will serve special Chinese-style dishes adapted for Muslim customers. During Ramadan, Chinese and Indian restaurants might modify their operating hours or offer special breaking fast packages for Muslim customers. These aren't government mandates. They're business decisions based on mutual respect and community solidarity. The taboos that matter most to visitors are actually pretty simple to understand and follow. Public displays of affection make people uncomfortable across all communities. Modest dress is expected in religious buildings, government offices, and rural areas. Alcohol isn't sold in predominantly Muslim areas, but it's readily available in Chinese coffee shops, hotel bars, and tourist areas. Pork is clearly labeled and sold in designated sections of supermarkets or specialized shops. More subtle taboos involve showing proper respect during religious observances. Don't eat or drink in front of people who are fasting during Ramadan, even if you're not Muslim yourself. Remove your shoes before entering mosques, temples, and many traditional homes. Use your right hand for eating and greeting, as the left hand is considered unclean. Point with your thumb rather than your index finger, and never touch someone's head, which is considered sacred. These cultural sensitivities become especially important when you're living in Malaysia long-term, Which brings us to the practical question of whether you can actually survive comfortably on $600 a month. The answer is not just yes, but yes with money left over for travel, entertainment, and savings, depending on your lifestyle choices and location preferences. Accommodation represents your biggest expense, but Malaysia offers options across every price range. In Kuala Lumpur, you can rent a decent room in a shared apartment for around $200 a month, or splurge on a studio apartment in a modern building with a pool and gym for $400. Outside KL, prices drop dramatically. In Penang, Malacca, or smaller cities like Ipoh, you can find comfortable accommodation for under $150 a month. The secret to affordable housing in Malaysia is understanding that most buildings include amenities that would be expensive extras elsewhere. Even budget apartments often include 24-hour security, swimming pools, gyms, and parking spaces. Utilities are heavily subsidized, so electricity, water, and internet cost around $30 to $50 total per month, even with heavy air conditioning use. Food costs are almost laughably cheap if you eat like locals do. Hawker meals cost $2 to $4 each. Coffee shop breakfasts cost under $2, and even restaurant meals rarely exceed $8 per person. You can eat well for $5 to $8 a day, or splurge occasionally at international restaurants for $15 to $20. Cooking at home is actually more expensive than eating out, since hawker stalls benefit from economies of scale that individual kitchens can't match. Transportation costs depend heavily on your lifestyle choices. Public transportation in Kuala Lumpur is excellent and cheap. Monthly unlimited passes cost around $20. Grab rides are affordable for occasional use, typically costing $3 to $5 for trips within the city. Owning a motorcycle, which many expats choose, costs around $100 a month, including payments, insurance, and fuel. Cars are more expensive due to high import taxes, but still manageable if you buy used. Healthcare represents one of Malaysia's best deals for expats. Public healthcare is nearly free for residents, while private healthcare costs a fraction of Western prices while maintaining international standards. A doctor's visit costs around $15, dental cleanings cost $20, and even major procedures cost thousands rather than tens of thousands of dollars. Many expats skip international health insurance and simply pay cash for medical care. Entertainment and social activities fit easily into a budget lifestyle. Movies cost $3, gym memberships cost $20 a month, and drinks at bars range from $2 to $5. Weekend trips to beaches, mountains, or neighboring countries are incredibly affordable thanks to budget airlines and cheap accommodation. You can fly to Thailand for $30, visit Singapore for $15 by bus, or explore Malaysian islands for under $50 per weekend. The math works out to roughly $300 to $400 for basic living expenses, leaving significant money for entertainment, travel, and savings on a $600 budget. Many expats find they can live well on $400 to $500 total, using the remainder for international travel, hobbies, or building an emergency fund. What makes this lifestyle particularly attractive is the quality of life you get for that money. You're not just surviving on $600, you're living comfortably in a tropical country with excellent infrastructure, world-class food, and easy access to travel throughout Southeast Asia. Many expats find their overall quality of life improves significantly compared to expensive Western cities, where similar budgets would mean constant financial stress. The practical aspects of daily life in Malaysia are designed around efficiency and convenience in ways that constantly surprise newcomers. Transportation systems work better than they have any right to, considering the traffic levels and tropical climate challenges. Kuala Lumpur's public transportation network includes trains, buses, and monorails that connect most parts of the city with air-conditioned comfort. The system isn't perfect. Trains can be crowded during rush hours and some areas still require bus connections, but it's reliable, affordable, and constantly expanding. New lines open regularly, and the government continues investing heavily in public transportation infrastructure. Grab, Southeast Asia's equivalent to Uber, works flawlessly in Malaysian cities. Cars arrive within 5 minutes in urban areas. Drivers are generally friendly and reliable, and the app handles payments automatically. Prices are reasonable, especially when split between multiple passengers, and the service operates 24 hours in major cities. Many expats use Grab as their primary transportation method, finding it cheaper and more convenient than car ownership. Motorcycles and scooters dominate Malaysian streets for good reasons. They're affordable, fuel-efficient, and can navigate through traffic jams that leave cars stranded for hours. Motorcycle parking is free and abundant, insurance costs are minimal, and maintenance is cheap thanks to ubiquitous repair shops. The climate means you can ride year-round, though you'll want rain gear during monsoon season. For longer distances, budget airlines have revolutionized travel within Malaysia and throughout Southeast Asia. AirAsia, based in Malaysia, offers flights between Malaysian cities for $20 to $50 and international flights to Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, and Vietnam for similar prices. Weekend trips to neighboring countries become impulse decisions rather than major financial commitments. Urban lifestyle in Kuala Lumpur revolves around shopping malls, which serve multiple functions beyond retail. Malls provide air-conditioned refuge from the heat and humidity, food courts with dozens of dining options, movie theaters, gyms, and social spaces where people meet friends and conduct business. Major malls like Pavilion, Surya, KLCC, and Mid-Valley become community centers where you can spend entire days without feeling like you're just shopping. The contrast between urban and rural lifestyles is dramatic but easily accessible. You can leave Kuala Lumpur's skyscrapers in the morning and be hiking through virgin rainforest by lunch, swimming in mountain streams by afternoon, and sleeping in a traditional village longhouse by evening. This accessibility to nature is one of Malaysia's greatest assets for people who want modern conveniences without sacrificing outdoor adventures. Penang offers a completely different urban experience, with Georgetown's UNESCO World Heritage status preserving colonial architecture alongside traditional shophouses and clan temples. Life moves more slowly here, with bicycle rickshaws still operating alongside modern cars and street art creating an outdoor gallery throughout the old city. The food scene rivals Kuala Lumpur's, but with more emphasis on traditional recipes and family-run establishments. Langkawi represents the ultimate laid-back lifestyle, where beaches, jungle, and small-town atmosphere combine into something approaching paradise. The entire island is duty-free, making alcohol and luxury goods significantly cheaper than mainland Malaysia. Expat communities here tend to be focused on relaxation, nature activities, and simple pleasures rather than career advancement or urban amenities. East Malaysia offers adventure lifestyle opportunities that don't exist on the peninsula. Sabah and Sarawak feel more like frontier territories, with vast wilderness areas, indigenous cultures, and wildlife encounters that can change your perspective on what's possible in the modern world. Living costs are lower, but so are amenities and convenience levels. It's perfect for people who prioritize nature access over urban sophistication. The natural attractions that make Malaysia special are not just tourist destinations. They're accessible parts of daily life for residents. The Cameron Highlands sit just 3 hours from Kuala Lumpur, offering cool mountain air, tea plantations, and hiking trails that provide escape from tropical heat whenever you need it. Weekend trips to the Highlands are common for KL residents who want to reset their internal thermostats. Taman Negara, one of the world's oldest rainforests, offers jungle experiences that most countries can't match. You can take night walks to spot tapirs, elephants, and tigers, stay in traditional Orang Asli villages, and trek through forests that have existed for over 130 million years. The fact that this wilderness sits just a few hours from modern cities makes Malaysia unique among tropical countries. Malaysian Borneo takes natural experiences to an entirely different level. Kinabalu National Park features Mount Kinabalu, Southeast Asia's highest peak, surrounded by some of the world's most biodiverse ecosystems. The climb to the summit takes 2 days and challenges even experienced hikers, but the sunrise views from above the clouds justify every difficult step. Sepilok Orangutan Rehabilitation Center allows visitors to observe orangutans being prepared for release back into wild habitats. Watching these incredible animals swing through the trees just meters away provides perspective on Malaysia as commitment to conservation and wildlife protection. The experience connects visitors to environmental issues in ways that documentaries and books cannot match. Sipadan Island, consistently rated among the world's best diving destinations, offers underwater experiences that rival anything in the Pacific or Caribbean. The island sits on top of an extinct volcanic cone, creating walls that drop thousands of feet into deep ocean. Schools of barracuda, hammerhead sharks, and sea turtles are common sights, along with coral formations that support incredible marine biodiversity. The Batu Caves, just outside Kuala Lumpur, combine natural wonder with religious significance. The limestone caves house Hindu temples that are over a century old, while the golden statue of Lord Murugan stands as one of the tallest Hindu statues in the world. The annual Thaipusam festival transforms the site into a spiritual pilgrimage destination that attracts over 1 million devotees. Penang's street art scene has transformed Georgetown into an outdoor gallery where murals tell stories about local history, culture, and daily life. The art isn't just decoration, it's social commentary, historical preservation, and community expression rolled into colorful displays that change regularly as new artists add their contributions to the city's visual narrative. The practical aspects of accessing these attractions matter for people considering long-term residence. Most natural areas and cultural sites can be reached by public transportation, tour buses, or affordable domestic flights. Weekend trips to world-class destinations become routine rather than special occasions, fundamentally changing how you think about leisure time and work-life balance. Safety in Malaysia operates on levels that most Western visitors find refreshing. Violent crime rates are low, especially against tourists and expats. Petty theft exists, particularly in tourist areas and crowded markets, but serious crimes are uncommon enough that they make national news when they occur. Women can walk alone after dark in most urban areas. Families can let children play unsupervised in neighborhoods, and leaving belongings unattended in coffee shops while using the bathroom is normal behavior. The legal system combines Islamic law, British common law, and local customs in ways that can seem complex, but generally work in favor of residents and visitors who follow basic rules and show respect for local customs. Drug laws are extremely strict, with severe penalties for possession and trafficking, but other legal issues rarely affect law-abiding expats. Police are generally helpful and professional, especially when dealing with foreigners. Language barriers can create communication challenges, but most officers in tourist areas speak enough English to handle basic problems. Emergency response times are reasonable in urban areas, though rural areas may have longer response times due to geographic challenges. Healthcare quality in Malaysia surprises most newcomers, especially considering the affordable costs. The country has invested heavily in medical tourism, creating hospitals and clinics that meet international standards while charging a fraction of Western prices. Many procedures that would require months of waiting in countries with socialized medicine can be scheduled within days or weeks in Malaysia. Private hospitals in major cities feature equipment and facilities that rival anything in developed countries. Doctors often trained internationally and speak excellent English. Medical specialists are readily available, and complex procedures can be performed without traveling abroad. The combination of quality and affordability has made Malaysia a regional medical hub, attracting patients from throughout Southeast Asia and beyond. Public healthcare provides basic services at minimal cost for residents, though wait times can be longer and facilities more basic than private options. Many expats use public health care for routine needs and private care for serious issues, finding this hybrid approach both affordable and effective. Dental care deserves special mention because the quality-to-cost ratio is exceptional. Routine cleanings, fillings, and even complex procedures like root canals and crowns cost a fraction of Western prices while meeting international standards. Many expats schedule dental work during visits to Malaysia, combining healthcare with vacation time. Education options range from local schools that offer instruction in Malay, Chinese, or Tamil, to international schools that follow British, American, or international baccalaureate curricula. Local universities have improved significantly in recent years, with several Malaysian institutions now ranking among Asia's top universities. The combination of affordable education and English language instruction makes Malaysia attractive for expat families and students from throughout the region. Visa regulations and immigration procedures reflect Malaysia's experience as a regional hub that balances security concerns with economic benefits from international visitors and residents. Tourist visas allow most nationalities to stay for 30 to 90 days without advance application, and extensions are usually straightforward for legitimate travelers. The MM2H, Malaysia My Second Home program, offers long-term residency for people who meet financial requirements and pass background checks. The program allows 10-year renewable visas for retirees, remote workers, and others who can demonstrate sufficient income or savings. Financial requirements change periodically but generally involve proving income of at least $3,000 per month or liquid savings of around $40,000. Work permits require job offers from Malaysian employers and can be complex to obtain, as the government prioritizes hiring Malaysian citizens first. However, skilled professionals in areas like technology, engineering, healthcare, and education can find opportunities, especially with multinational companies or organizations serving international markets. Teaching English is possible but requires proper qualifications and work permits. Starting a business in Malaysia is possible for foreigners, though regulations vary by industry and investment level. Some sectors are restricted to Malaysian ownership or require local partners, while others welcome foreign investment. The government offers incentives for businesses that create jobs, transfer technology, or develop less developed regions. Banking and financial services work efficiently for expats who follow proper procedures. Opening bank accounts requires proper visa documentation and proof of address, but most major banks have English-speaking staff and offer services designed for international customers. Online banking and mobile payment systems are sophisticated and widely accepted. Internet connectivity is excellent in urban areas, with high-speed fiber broadband available at reasonable costs. Rural areas may have slower connections, but coverage has improved dramatically in recent years. Mobile phone service is reliable and affordable, with prepaid and postpaid plans offering generous data allowances for both domestic and international use. Shopping for daily necessities is convenient and affordable, with hypermarkets, traditional markets, and convenience stores providing access to both local and international products. Imported goods cost more due to taxes and transportation, but local alternatives are usually available at lower prices. Fresh produce, meat, and seafood are abundant and inexpensive, especially when purchased at wet markets where vendors offer the best quality at competitive prices. The cultural learning curve for long-term residents involves understanding subtleties that don't matter for short-term visitors but become important for people who want to integrate into Malaysian society. Language skills help enormously, though English is widely spoken in urban areas. Learning basic Malay shows respect and opens doors to deeper cultural understanding, while picking up some Chinese or Tamil phrases can help in specific communities. Building relationships in Malaysia requires patience and genuine interest in local culture. Malaysians are generally friendly and welcoming, but deep friendships develop slowly and are based on mutual respect and shared experiences. The concept of face matters across all ethnic communities, meaning that public embarrassment or confrontation should be avoided in favor of private discussions and diplomatic solutions. Religious sensitivity extends beyond avoiding offense to actively showing respect for different faiths and practices. Attending cultural celebrations, learning about different religious traditions, and participating in community activities demonstrates genuine interest in Malaysian society rather than just using the country as a convenient base for other activities. Professional relationships in Malaysia blend formal business practices with personal connections. Building trust takes time and requires demonstrating reliability, competence, and cultural awareness. Success often depends more on relationship quality than purely transactional approaches, making networking and community involvement important for long-term career development. Malaysia's position as a regional hub becomes increasingly apparent the longer you live there. Weekend trips to Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, and Vietnam become routine rather than major travel adventures. The country serves as a base for exploring Southeast Asia while providing stability, convenience, and quality of life that make it easy to return home after each adventure. The climate takes adjustment for people from temperate regions, but most expats find they adapt within a few months. The heat and humidity are constants, but air conditioning is ubiquitous and affordable. The lack of seasonal variation means no winter depression, but some people miss the psychological reset that changing seasons provide. Learning to work with tropical rhythms rather than fighting them makes the adjustment much easier. Cultural festivals, food experiences, natural attractions, and daily life conveniences combine to create a lifestyle that many expats find superior to what they left behind in more expensive countries. The challenge isn't surviving in Malaysia on a budget. It's resisting the temptation to spend more money simply because everything is so affordable compared to Western prices. Malaysia operates on its own logic, follows its own rhythms, and provides its own rewards for people willing to embrace complexity rather than seeking simple answers. It's not Thailand with different food or Singapore with lower prices. It's something entirely unique, a country that shouldn't work as well as it does but somehow manages to provide paradise with a very reasonable price tag. The question isn't whether Malaysia deserves consideration as a travel destination or expat base. It's whether you're ready to discover what you've been missing by overlooking the country that sits quietly in the middle of everything important in Southeast Asia. Once you understand what Malaysia offers, the real challenge becomes explaining to friends back home why you're not in any hurry to leave. Paradise, it turns out, is more affordable than most people realize, and it comes with better food than you could possibly imagine.